school environment, the establishment of a social hierarchy is inevitable. Throughout primary school, kids tend to form this social hierarchy amongst themselves. Usually, it consists of a group of people who are deemed popular. And then there's everybody else. Either you were A, cool, B, weird, or C, just there. Group A consists of the leaders, the trend makers, and the well-liked. Group B consists of the weirdos, outcasts, the misfits, the untouchables. While Group C consists of the others, the background fillers, the NPCs. So which of these tend to fit in or stand out? Why do some people want to fit in and others stand out? Why is there this innate human desire to be socially excellent, unique, but accepted? Perhaps it was just by probability that I got assimilated into Group C with all the others. The first 13 years of my life were characterized by people-pleasing. Conforming to others' needs was the easiest way for me to earn their validation of my existence, and doing favors for others made me feel like they needed me. And so, I played a lot, went to school, talked a lot. It was very peaceful, yet there was this desire to become something more than just one with the crowd. As a result, I created this new persona: extroverted, nonchalant, and optimistic. These traits were the new type of cool. The less you care, the more others seem to overreact. The more confident you are, the more others will trust you. And the more you socialize, the more others will notice you. That was the standard mindset I set myself. Climbing up the social ladder was my utmost priority. Throughout upper primary, I played this character to myself. It was like acting out this role that you wanted to play in a play. Yet, the more I acted this way, the more I felt like I was hurting others. The nonchalance which I applied came off as rude, the optimism as obnoxious, and the extroversion as clingy. To me, perhaps this role wasn't mine to act out, and it was equivalent to lying to myself about my own identity. There were 2 years in my life where my mood plummeted. In the first year, I was dealing with this toxic friend who was affecting the whole entire friend group. Yet, I had friends, and I didn't have this desire to gain extra recognition nor extra attention. I was fine staying in Group C. I had friends who cared about me, and sometimes others, and those were the only 2 things I needed to be socially and emotionally healthy. 2 months into the next year, I cut ties with this toxic friend, and I finally felt free. Surprisingly enough, there were friends from my original friend group who were in the same homeroom class as me. Everything seemed to go great in Group C until I dropped out. It wasn't voluntary. The past has always been a difficult thing for me to forget. Change was not ideal, and I liked to stay in a constant dream where everybody stayed the same and never grew up to be anything different. That was a mistake. The friends who I called friends did not seem to like the same songs, the same things, the same people. My interests were too different. I was too different from them. It occurred to me that perhaps I didn't know them well enough for them to be categorized as friends. I ultimately neglected the idea that they may not have cared as much for me as I did for them. The following 7 months were a series of waking up, dragging myself to school, doing work, dragging myself back home, doing work, and going off to sleep, on repeat. It was a cycle of feeling worthless and hoping for a change. I isolated myself most of the time, seeking refuge in drawing, listening to music, people watching. Texting was something rare. No one ever bothered to talk to me, much less text me. And whenever I opened my contacts to see if there was anyone that I could talk to, every name sounded like a dead end. I realized that perhaps people would not notice me. I was just something in the corner. It was strange, being invisible. That period of time that consisted of waiting miserably and hoping for a friend to come along came to an end in the final 2 months of that school year. Acceptance was key. I got accustomed to the monotonous routine in my life and all the people who would probably not see in the future. People would sometimes notice me sitting alone and ask me whether I was all right, and I said I was, because I was, in all honesty. I decided to pursue my goals and my hobbies due to my lack of time. I decided to clean up my room much more, to write and create creative writing in forums, participate in online art trades, and do much more. I even co-led a magazine club in those 2 months. There was a week of realization for me that being less active in your year's social group was a double-edged sword. On one hand, you aren't cared as much for, you don't have a say in most things, but on the other hand, you could do what you like to do and not worry about destroying your image, or perhaps maybe maintaining your power or your popularity, because you had none. By the end of that summer, I created a new goal: to care less. I wanted to be myself since collating that club. Not some people pleaser who relies on others to define their own self-worth. Not someone who waits so desperately for someone else to come along and make their life okay. There are more than 8 billion people on this whole planet, so why conform to the interest of classmates that I won't even see much of later on? If I couldn't attract anyone in any form of myself, fake or real, then perhaps I was not meant to do so. However, in the next year, I happily enough joined a friend group that consisted of 2 other people. That saved me from the embarrassment of sitting alone and having others pitying me. This year, I decided to try out for leadership roles, to talk to people outside my friend group. I walked straight out of my comfort zone, and that was extremely rewarding. By the end of that year, I had led the 2 clubs I was in and made more friends than I ever had in the previous years. However, what surprised me weren't these 2 things, but rather the fact that people seemed to like me for who I was. There were people who decided that, oh, I was interesting and they wanted to be friends with me. I had not experienced this in any point in my life, and it was a new type of feeling. Perhaps this was the middle ground between fitting in and standing out, in a Goldilocks zone between the 2. I learned that maintaining a fake persona and trying to follow trends was exhausting. It did not guarantee a secure social position. One way that one could be special and respected was become the best authentic version of themselves. And by then, they would find the results extremely rewarding.